Hello everybody, welcome to our PowerPoint presentation, and today we're going to talk about Generation Z. So before we start, I need to ask you a small question. If you're going to live in a certain type of generation, what is it going to be? Go on.
I live in the present
Why?
because we have a lot of things to do in the present. The past is very boring.
So you think that past is boring and you don't want to try living in the past? Alright, so let's start our presentation.
Generation Z refers to generation born between 1997 and 2012. So most of us here are born in 1997 or above till 2012. So who thinks she is a Generation Z? Generation Z is the largest in American history. Of course. Generation Z grow up with the internet and social media. And in our history, we have lots of social medias and tools. And we use social media as we are Generation Z. Generation Z is probably defined as the 22 million people born between 1997 and 2012. But research has recently defined Generation Z as anyone born after 1997. So not only those who are born in 1997 or 2012 or Generation Z, they are between.
So as we can see here, we don't have one generation which is Generation Z. No, we have a lot. Which can you just go to the screen?
So we have, for example, generations. We have baby boomers, Generation X, Generation Z, and Generation Alpha. Like all other generations, Generation Z has some circumstances. And circumstances are like kinds of problems that they face. We are born into such as, we're born in Generation Z, such as tourism, school shooting, COVID-19, social media, economic issues, and technology addition. And last, great research. The dark events have had profound effects on the members of the generations. There are effects on us in the members of generation Z. But they have also inspired us to make the world better. Thank you.
Take off your mask.
And the youngest to each of the members of Generation Z is 2020 are still experiencing their formation, going through elementary school, high school, college, and the prior emotional development that comes with those time milestones.
So anybody can tell me the oldest one in Generation Z will be turning? Lamar.
Can you please say the question again?
The oldest one in Generation Z will be turning what this year? How old?
Like maybe 12 or 10.
So, Rahma?
11.
No.
11.
Habiba?
23 years old.
Exactly. And the smallest one will be turning?
11.
Aya? Yes, 8, exactly.
It's hard. I'm trying to get the presentation.
Or spend more time
Take off your nose.
on charging money and less time reading books, therefore, when important for their attention, their memory, and thus their school grades. Now to the question. The students now are spending more reading books or smartphone.
Social media. It's not even a question.
So we know here that there are differences between old generations and our generation now. And from these that people in old generations used to help each other. They spent time together. They read books and they had so many informations about the world. And their time was always useful. But for our generation now we use social media, mobile phones, we call each other's. So if you want to use your time in something helpful, which generation you're gonna go to? Or which generation you're gonna stay in?
All generations.
Why?
Because all generations are more like talkative to each other and they use less time on or spend less time on social media and so on, and they are reading books.
So we know that in old generations they use they use free time doing useful stuff. But in our generation we only spent using mobile phones, laptops, and so on. And our free time was always useless. Asked so many people about old generations versus new ones, and we knew that in old generations they had money wasn't really an important thing in life. But now everything here is expensive. Everything here is with money. So because of less money in here and no one used money much, no one had problems in money and no one felt sad, poor, or no one was homeless. But for us, so many people are homeless because everything here is expensive. So everything is with money. This is why some people are suffering and can't find money to help with their own life. So which one do you think, which generation is more expensive? This exactly. But yeah. So if our generation is expensive, are we gonna live good? Are we gonna have a happy life?
No, because all the days is very expensive and everything is money.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else?
Of course, present days are more expensive, new days, Generation Z, and I have an actual example. That there is this comic my mom used to buy when she was a kid in her millennium age. That comic used to be for £1 only. Nowadays, it's for £10. It's an example of how it got richer through the years.
Yeah, so this is an example of how expensive our generation is versus the other generation.
How is life different from the old generation to now generation?
Well, the old days like everything is used to do with not expensive, like I think it's from a million or something like that. And in the nowadays stuff has been so expensive, like some clothes is being like in the hundreds.
Alright, and one of our most differences that we need to talk about is that in old generations, our parents took care, your grandma, your grandpa took care of your mom and dad, which never spoiled them. They always took care of them, of their studies and everything else. But in our generations, many parents just let us do what we want. So this is why some people get spoiled, which could be such as bullies and other stuff. So if parents are actually learned well, their kids are gonna also be so. So, which generation has the most caring parents who care for the child and so on?
Old days. Why? Because like our grandma and grandpa took care of our parents and like they looked what they were doing and studied with them and everything. You're filming this funny.
Any questions? Anyone has a question? Anyone has a question?
How many times was this?
I want to ask the exact same question, which generation do you like most?
Of course, Generation Z, which is the old generation, because they have many useful stuff, many useful stuff that they could do in their time.